Hello there, my name is Valerie White-Williams, and today I am talking about the fifth house. And I'm going to go through all the planets and placements in the fifth house. But before I get into it, make sure you subscribe and click on the bell so you get notified of all of my uploads. All right, so we are talking about the fifth house. And the fifth house kind of roughly equates to Leo. And the passion of having fun and fun in the sun and doing all kinds of exciting things. It's really the house of the affairs of the heart. And that includes creativity, it includes sports, it includes dating, it includes children, all of those things, and the creativity part of it. So that's the house where we express our creativity and have fun in life. It's right between the fourth house, which is the home life, and the sixth house, which is kind of taking care of business. But that fifth house is like, whew, let's go skiing, let's go skateboarding. So we're going to go through all of the placements in the fifth house. So of course we're going to start with the sun. Now the sun is your hero's journey. It's here where you are here to shine your light. And just because it's in your sun sign doesn't mean it's going to be necessarily easy for you. This is where you're aiming at, to shine your light. So sun in the fifth house is somebody that really has a passion for all those activities. Now there's lots of variety of things. You could be a musician. That's something you've always wanted to do. You are going to shine your light with your music and your art, and you're just going to shine in that endeavor. It also could be you just want to have lots of children and have this huge expression, and you love kids because the kids are joyful. They're going to give you this joy. Or it could be like you just sports, lots of sports, and you just love that excitement in the moment and enjoying life fully. That's the fifth house, enjoying life fully. So sun in that fifth house is committed. Now, I guess a lot of people that have sun in the fifth house might have to work through a few issues because that's not what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to grow up and become responsible and let go of those things, and I'm a lifelong musician. Yeah, and I'll talk about my fifth house placement as well, but this is where people shine. There is no good and bad in astrology. It's where you came to show up, And people who have the sun in the fifth house have showed up their gold energy in that house of play. That's really what it is, the house of play. And that's what they're here to do. And you know what? Don't let anyone stop you. Those sun in the fifth house people. So now I'm going to go on into the moon. The moon is kind of opposite than the sun. It's what comes naturally for you. It's easy. It's reflective. The moon is reflecting the light of the sun. The sun is shining. You're going forward in that. The moon is reflective. So when you have moon in the fifth house, that's where you go to nurture yourself. Like, again, the music, arts, sports, that is going to give you like, oh yes, I'm coming home. This is easy. This is nurturing. Oh, I just need to get in the music studio and write a song and come back to myself. Let myself reflect this beautiful energy. And so the moon is, again, a little bit more receptive. It's a little bit more kind of, maybe, I don't want to say maybe in the background, but it just comes out naturally for you. And so that energy is going to really reach your soul and comfort yourself. And it's where you got this really intuitive, like it's easy. So the moon shows up in the area that comes easy for you. So you might have come from a family that was a bunch of musicians or loved sports and there was really big with that. And then you get away from it and you're like, oh, I need to go back. It's so easy. Because sometimes what happens when things are easy, people think that it's not important or it's too easy. But that's what we're supposed to do, is take that wisdom. And some astrologers will feel that the moon placement talks about where you've been in the past, like a past life or a home life. And that's why it's a little bit easy. And what happens when things are easy, people go, it's not really important. It's like, because it's so easy. But we're supposed to honor that and allow ourselves to nurture ourselves and have that easy placement. So fifth house or the moon in the fifth house, you nurture yourself and others by default on how to really be creative and take the joy of life. Joy, having fun is going to lift your spirits. And you might be that person that really encourages others, like, hey, let's do this. We need to do it because it actually comes natural for you. All right, so now I'm going to go into Mercury in the fifth house. So Mercury in the fifth house, and yeah, I'm actually not talking about the signs. I should get into the signs. So it really depends. I'm going to go back to the moon. So like I say, moon is in Capricorn. Well, that's kind of like a businessy kind of vibe. And it's a little more serious. Like you might go, I'm creative, but I have to do some structure. So they might like create a dance studio or a music studio, which is like building, because that's what Capricorn has, that Capricorn energy, but it's still reflective. Like, yeah, my parents were musicians and I'm going to create this thing and it's going to be really different. And then let's go into Pisces. So Pisces in the fifth house, the moon is going to be very artistic. They might be painters and artists and maybe have a pottery wheel. And just like you grew up in this environment where everybody's creating art and just like it just comes naturally, it flows through you. So those are some examples of what the signs are. Remember, I talk about the signs, they're like potato chip flavors. It's really not so dramatic as the placements. Okay, so now we're going to go to Mercury. So Mercury is your mental body. It's how you think, it's how you communicate. So people that have Mercury in the fifth house are very good at explaining things. They are creative and they love the sports, but they can use their mental mind to help others or actually just learn things really easily. So you could just naturally gravitate to an art form or a skill or parenting. Like, I'm going to read all these books and I'm going to focus in on how to be a really great parent because I love my kids. You might want to be a teacher. You might actually have like a home daycare where you're working with children and then your mind is teaching yourself the best ways that I can help these kids so they can grow and learn. So almost like you're like a kindergarten teacher that you have this joy and you're going to use a lot of joy in your life, but you're also going to bring this intellectual energy and learning to help you do better. Likewise with sports or any of the arts, you're going to use your mental mind to find greater joy and greater play by studying. There's a bit of a studious approach there. All right, so now I'm going to go into Venus. And Venus is your emotional body, how you kind of relate to your emotions and other people. And a lot of times Venus is a little place where you can see where your friends come from or your lovers come from because you have this joy of this emotion. So Venus in the fifth house has so much pleasure. It's very pleasurable for you and you feel emotionally exalted almost in the house of play. And that play could be even theater. It's really all the creative arts, all the creativity. You could just love theater and you feel like you could emote and you're going to do all this theater in town. You're going to sign up, be an actor, enjoy interacting with that emotional energy in the fifth house because that's what actors are. They're always, taking on. They're in plays. It's a play, and so the fifth house is a play, and you're going to play as an actor and taking on all these emotional storytelling of portraying another person and interacting in the theater, which is, to be honest, really exhilarating. It's really fun to be in a play or an opera or a musical, and you interact with all these people, and it's joyful. So that's where that joy and play comes to life. And so with Venus there, it's like you just have to relate to this creative movement. Also, again, like sports. I mean, sports is playing too. You might be surfing, you might love skiing, and you're going to interact. But what's going on with Venus there is you want people with you doing it. That's really where it's showing up, is it's not a solitary thing for you. You want to express all this creativity and joy with others. And again, it's tied to the sign. So let's say Aries. So you're going to have Aries in the fifth house. That might be like you really want to do sports with your people. You're going to join teams. You might want to do stuff that's more active, go skiing with other people, play on teams that, like soccer teams, adult soccer teams. You just want to keep going. And people's like, when are you going to stop doing that? Aren't you going to grow up and be a real person? No, that's not how it works. You have a lifelong love of activity that is in that fifth house, playing with people. Now, the word play can always feel like that's kind of immature, but we all need to play. This is really important. We're humans. And so Aries in Venus wants to play and play with others and have fun, take action and do stuff like that. All right, so now I'm going into Mars. I know, I'm getting this all confused. So Mars in the fifth house is probably the sportiest of that placement, because Mars is your physical body. A lot of astrologers think of Mars as getting angry and stuff. I don't know if I really agree with that. I mean, because the physical body is your expression. Emotions there's all kinds of emotions. There's good emotions, well, not good emotions. There's like anger and fear and all kinds of things. That is really through your emotional body. But Mars is your real body, what your body wants to do. So Mars in the fifth house is probably an athletic placement and where you have fun. You might be a snowboarder or a surfer or doing these things that you just need to move your body. You want to maybe bike riding, joy of all that stuff. And of course, it's going to reflect, the signs. So say we're Leo, that might be something that you are more solitary with. You could want more of attention. You might be more of a performer. Like, look at me, I'm gonna do the skateboarding stuff and I'm gonna do power sports and it's just gonna, they want an audience and you're like, look at me, this is what I wanna do. It could be something that you just have a passion for. And so then we're going to use, say, Virgo, Mars in Virgo in the fifth house is kind of a little interesting placement because Virgos are a little persnickety and they have that energy, but they want to organize things. And so they will probably maybe not be an athlete, but use their body in a way to put things together. Like, could be like a stage manager that works in theater because they have to be organized and put everything together. And of course, anytime you're in the theater, you're using your body because that's the way it is. It's not a desk job. But Mars is going to be some action in the fifth house, and it's going to be about joy and creativity and having fun. All right, so now we're going to go from Mars to Jupiter. So Jupiter is a planet of benevolence. Where Jupiter shows up, it's kind of like your fairy godmother, and they say, yes, here it is. Here's what's happening. So Jupiter in the fifth house gives you a lot of opportunities, I'll say, because that's what Jupiter is. It opens up opportunities, opens up doors for you. So when you have Jupiter in the 5th house, having the ability to take on these sports or joy or children or having all this fun comes a little bit easy for you. I mean, it happens like boom, here it comes. And yeah, it's like women who have a lot of children and their births are easy. And it's like, oh yeah, I love having kids. It's wonderful. Or they're musicians and things come easy for them. You get new contacts. They're going to hook you up with other people that you can perform with. And it's like, woo, this is it. I want to have fun here. And that Jupiter energy is going to open up to you. Again, it's going to open up. And that Jupiter energy could be dependent on different signs as well, like say Scorpio. So Scorpio is kind of intense. So Jupiter in Scorpio is like, you're going to learn these like secretive things that maybe other people don't know. And you're discovering it and it's still really creative. And it's like maybe some, tantra or something that is kind of more mysterious and it's going to take your energy through there, but you're just really passionate about it. So that's, where that Jupiter energy opens up doors. Okay, so now we're going to go into Saturn. And I will admit that my Saturn is in the 5th house. So no, Saturn is the planet of discipline, and it's where you are learning to work with time. That's what my teacher calls it. And Saturn has this kind of like, and I'm like, because where Saturn is in the placement of your house is where you need to like kick it up, It's not going to be easy. You have to there's a little bit of dampening. And so it's not like, oh, doom and gloom where Saturn is. It's really your opportunity to rise above it. And I can say that in my own life. I do have Saturn in Aquarius in the 5th house, and I worked really hard. So that's what Saturn is. It's a taskmaster. And so it's not going to be given to you on a silver platter. That's how it works. You have to work towards it. And so, I've actually been a musician. I've trained as an opera singer. I had kids. I had a lot of blocks, not like blocks, but things I had to push through. So Saturn is there saying, you want it? If you want it, you got to make a plan. It's not going to be given to you. It's not. You have to make a plan and you need to work the plan. And when you work the plan, it's going to happen. And that's what I've found in my life. Because I remember feeling like, oh, when am I ever going to get anywhere? What am I ever going to do? But I had to kick my own butt to go forward, to go to where I could have gone to perform. Because I wanted to be a performer and I wanted to perform in all kinds of different types of music. And I had kids. And I had all the responsibilities. So that's really what Saturn shows up. So you're going to be showing up. And where Saturn shows up, it's what you really want. But you have to make it. You have to build the discipline to make it work. And this goes for any house position. I know, but that was what I had to do. I had to do it myself, take lessons, work hard, and get there. And that is Saturn in the 5th house. You can still do it, but you got to take the horse by the reins and be committed and disciplined. That's what it's all about. Discipline. Where Saturn shows up, you have to be disciplined. And when you go through it, you're like, I did it my way. All right, so now we're going to go on to Uranus. Now, Uranus is a planet of sudden inspiration, like boom. And then you get this, like a lightning strike, and you get it. So that's when Uranus shows up in the 5th house. It's where you're going to find this new sense of, I've been doing it all wrong. Or, I'm supposed to do this. I'm supposed to do this thing, which is going to be in the house of the 5th house of creativity. I'm going to be a painter. This is it. I had this inspiration, and you know what? I've always felt I should do this. Now I know. And then I'm going to go ahead and do it. Again, all that creativity is in that house. Or maybe you finally get married and you didn't want kids and all of a sudden you went, hello, I'm ready to have a child. I'm ready. Boom, here it comes. So those are some examples of what Uranus is going to show up for you. It's not going to be hanging out there. And you might also be, technological, using technology, because Uranus has a little bit of a link to technology. So that's Uranus. Now, I have to say the outer planets don't have as much influence as the more personal planets. So as far as we're going out, it's going to be a little bit of more of a, kind of like fairy godmother, keeping an eye on you. So now we're going to talk about Neptune. So Neptune is the planet of mysticism and spirituality and creativity. So Neptune in the 5th house can also be that person that gets their spirituality oneness when they're in their art world, when they're performing. So my husband had that placement. His Neptune was in the 5th house, and he was a drummer. He's passed away, but when he would play, he would kind of go in the zone. And so music was really spiritual to him, really felt the joy of spirit and creativity all at once. And so that's where Neptune can be. Now, Neptune can be a hard placement because Neptune always wants to play. They always want to do things. Now, there is a part of Neptune that could be confused, or the Neptune person, because there's a little bit of drug and alcohol. So there's I want to feel that inspiration, but I'm maybe going to be using a bit more of other substances to get me there, to create that feeling. And that happens to a lot of singers. I'm a vocal coach too, and a lot of singers need to have a drink before they can let loose. So there is some of that going on, I think, with Neptune in the 5th house. They want to have it be a spiritual experience. So they want it to be merged with spirituality. And sometimes you need a little other substances to get it going. But that is typically what that Neptune energy is. And again, it's about the signs. Now, these outer planets move really slowly. So my husband had his Scorpio was in Neptune, but later there's Capricorn. And Capricorn's going to be a little bit more structured. It's not going to be so Scorpio, but Capricorn, and it's a bit more practical, but it's still in the 5th house, and so you're still going to get that energy from Neptune, which is still kind of like the fish in the sea, but it's going to create with others and build structure with that Capricorn influence. Okay, and now we're going to talk about Pluto. So Pluto in the 5th house is where you have your inner death and rebirth journey, Plutonian energy, where you transform yourself. So Pluto is an interesting placement in the 5th house because the people that have Pluto there, they really dive deep into their creative juices. And then they're going to pull it out. They're going to pull out some art form that came from very deep. And so when they go down into this maybe depressive energy, or leave me alone, you're going to come back with this piece of art that is going to help other people transform. And it's again that play. It feels kind of dark and deep, but using art, people have used art to transform their mood and the world throughout history and time. So that Pluto placement that allows you to go deep into almost depression, pull it out, and wow, I wrote this amazing song. I can't wait to play it for you. Or I have this art piece that I just saw it and I'm going to transpose it, or I'm going to make it, or I'm be a sculptor. Or you have this download, but you have to go down and dive deep, and then you come back up. So that is Pluto. All right, so I'm going to do 3 other placements. We're going to talk about the nodes, and we're going to also talk about Chiron. So the nodes, the moon's nodes are on a, parallel. So the north node is where you're supposed to be focused on. South node is where you've been, feels comfortable, but it's not really your highest purpose. So we're going to start with the 5th house in the South Node. So the 5th house in the South Node is you are pretty creative. Creativity is really something that you've done before. You're like, yeah, I've been doing this. I grew up doing that. This is kind of like, I get good results, but it's kind of like, been there, done that. And so what you really need to focus on if you have that South Node in the 5th house is to focus on the 11th house. Because the 11th house is going to be your North Node. And so the 11th house is really not focused on you and your creativity, but focusing on helping the community. So it's because the 5th house, and I don't want to say it's bad or focused on themselves, but it's just a polarity. And then on the 11th house is you're really creating for everybody. And so you kind of have to get out of this kind of place where it's all about me and create for the community. Because the North Node, they need you to be creative for solutions to help everybody. It's still creative, but it's for everybody. So that is what the South Node is. And so we're going to switch it now. So the North Node that's going to be now in North Node that's going to be in the 5th house, the South Node is going to be in the 11th house. And so if you have the North Node in Leo, the South Node is going to be in the 11th house, which you might feel like you're responsible for everybody. You are supposed to be responsible to take care of the community. You've done it before, you're really good at it, but it feels kind of like a burden. You're always taking care of people as a community-wide or taking care of the earth, and you're like, you know what? It's time for me to do my own creations. It's time for me to step away from the community and turn within and learn to create something that's just for me, for my own personal joy. Because you might just get really tired by constantly working with others on community things. But maybe you feel like you have to, you've done that before, you're good at it. Because normally on the South Node, there's things that you're good at, but it kind of burdens you. So the North Node in the 5th house is like, I need to go to this direction. I need to go. Now it feels like we have ethics, like, oh, we should help others. We shouldn't just take care of ourselves. But for people that have North Node in the 5th house, they need to create and feel that joy. Give themselves permission to be there and do those things. It's not like you're not doing anything on the other side. Trust me, I'm all about that. But what's going to bring your life to who you really are is that North Node. And when you have the North Node on the 5th house, you're here to be creative. You're here to have fun and bring people to you who also are having fun and having creativity, because we need creative people. We need it. We need it. I'm going to say that again and again. We need creative people. That's one of my talking points when I do public speaking. We need you. You need to create. You need to do it. Okay, and the last placement I'm going to talk about is Chiron. And Chiron is we call it the wounded healer, and it's one of the asteroids. There's tons of asteroids, so many. But I personally like Chiron because I feel like it's kind of how you kind of learn to grow into what you're here to do. So Chiron is the wounded healer, meaning that you have some wounding in your child, like, can't really do this. No one really supports me. I've had some maybe dysfunction things about it. But then you kind of get over yourself, and then you help others. So for Chiron in the 5th house, you could have been told that you couldn't sing. I hear that so much. Stop singing. You can't sing. You sound horrible. Or you can't draw. Or you're bad at sports. You've had horrible experiences with teachers that shut you down. And you're like, oh my gosh, am I ever going to do anything? And then you kind of like decide, you know what? I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to do it anyway. And then you do it anyway. You have a new foundation of thought and say, you know what? Everyone's creative. I'm just going to disregard that earlier pain or programming, and I'm going to create, and I'm going to actually be really good. I'm going to get training. I'm going to do stuff. I'm going to create, and I'm going to help others go through their blocks because everybody's creative. And that's Chiron on the 5th house. Whew, this was fun. I love creativity. This is one of my power that I love to talk about. And again, because I have that Saturn there, I've had to push through and be disciplined, but it seems like a quandary that discipline and creativity go together, but they do. They do. So I hope I'd love to hear what you have to say about the 5th house. Let me know of your placements in the 5th house, and if I've talked about them in a correct way, that gives you a little bit more new guidance and understanding, because I do feel like the 5th house is a little bit like, that's like for kids. No, it's for everybody. We all need to play. We all need to be creative. We all need to have that joy, because that's why we're here. We are here to create and have the joy. And, I say that all the time in my videos. We are creative and spiritual, and we are here to create a world that works for everybody. Yes, and I think I'm going to end with that. We're here to create a world that works for everybody. And I just want to let you know that I do have a group called Creative Soul Alignment, and we talk about that. We love art. Art is so powerful. It's not a fluff. It's required. And those 5th house people, we need to keep the art going, and the flow, and the love, and the joy. Yeah, and the fun. All right, take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye.